Alright, welcome back to another Plane Explain. I was going to film... Did I change this guy? I don't even know. My tags are really outdated, so... Anyway, what was I going to say? I saw some people recommending 4 tables. It seems like this is a good time to try out the 4 tables video. I filmed part 2 of the last video that you guys would have been seeing. I don't know. I schedule a lot of my uploads. But, I part 2'd the video where after my biggest losing session, there was a part 2 coming to that video. And it was a pretty good video, but I uploaded the wrong thing to YouTube. So that video is going to come out probably after this one. I'm going to record one right now. Hopefully I'll record one for you guys. I'll try and talk a bit slower. I don't plan on talking that slow though. I'll try lowering the amount of tables. Here at the Pocket Queen is going to be 4 betting. Purple is 1k and green is the 500. Alright, I have a different mic here as well, so let me know what you guys think. This is almost pure 3 betting. I think it is just pure 3 betting. Gonna go for the 13. A6 can open here, especially with the recreational in the big blind. When he's a bit shorter, you can size down. I don't mind that. I'm just gonna simplify to 1/3 of the range here versus recreational. It's gonna be defending too many hands. Attention, this is just a fine strategy. Let me know what type of content would you guys like to see. I don't know if I'm the best at recording videos for people who play lower stakes. I could maybe try and film one or something like that, and just going over exploits that I think you guys could use. However, I think there's just other content out there. My content is not necessarily, if you're in lower stakes, I think you shouldn't watch, but I think it's more of the type of content for people trying to get better. Not that in micro stakes you're not, but you know what I'm saying. You're not gonna. I think most people who play micro stakes are not gonna be trying to play micro stakes forever. Is the idea. And also, the way I got better from micro stakes, for what it's worth, was not solving micro stakes. It was just getting better at the game. I do think now with my new perspective, though, I'd be a bit better at it if I were to go back in time, for example. If I were to start over again. I'm just gonna fold here when he calls once. That's weird. But I guess what I could do is, as opposed to telling people what to do, I mean, there's plenty of content out there for people in micro stakes, and I think the key is just finding the right ones. I think anyone who focuses too much on quote unquote exploiting, but they don't really give you a reason why. I feel like most of the micro stakes content I see is generally people telling you to be nitty. Which is just yeah, everyone who plays enough micro stakes knows that these people don't bluff enough, but I don't think that's really gonna... I don't know how to explain it. I don't think that's really what's holding a lot of the people who are stuck in micro stakes back. I think they've played enough to know that people don't bluff enough. I think if anything, the issue is they actually stop calling enough on certain boards. Go for the 1/3 high frequency on this board, especially versus recreational. I'm gonna be definitely defending. Here you could actually argue that raising's okay, because I think he just has 0 defense. For example, when a fish bets really small into a pot like this, they basically just never have that good of a hand. And they would probably fold if I were to raise and shove river. But for the video, I will just check. But I think that's a strategy that you guys could be using. And does he have a 4 or does he have a 9? Oh. It's either a weak hand or a draw. I forgot the preference. But the point is, it's not really a made hand. So for example, if I were to raise really big here and a diamond were to come off, I might be a little nittier. Because the hands that raise really big, that call a turn big raise, are more likely to be weighted to draws. Right? Like, so let's say he's betting a 4 here and I raised him big, he'd probably fold. But because he was betting a draw, he would have called. Anyway, that's just one little exploit on fish. If I were to give you one in lower stakes, I would say attack these really weak raises. Every now and then you might play versus a guy who's a station, and you're like, why did I do that? But more often than not, you're leaving a lot of EV on the table. Starting off with a lot of range bets here, not necessarily the correct thing in theory, but we've been playing versus a lot of recreational opponents. Technically here, not having the backdoor ace-x technically matters, but versus recreational, when he calls once here, I'm just gonna err on the side of checking. Not to mention, yeah, we're gonna value river here. And our hand all of a sudden is pretty good. I think I'm gonna call half pot here. I think he sizes up bigger if he has a king. And yeah, he could have a queen, but I think in general, there's so many potential bluffs here, like hands like this, that we're just going to be calling. Generally, when your opponent can have a lot of bluffs and they don't bet very big, you're just going to call. And if they bet pot, and then usually versus fish, yeah. Fish tend to size up with their really strong hands. So in spots where there should be really polarizing, if they don't go very big, they're more than likely bluffing. I would say in general they under bluff, but you need to understand the tells that they have, because there's some spots where they're definitely over bluffing, and they definitely over bluff in the smaller size nodes. Oops. But yeah, let me know what you guys would like to see. Just trying to put good content out there for you guys. I have 4 tables going right now. On a 9, I think this is a fold. Sorry about the coffee. Let me know what the mic you guys prefer. I don't like my actual... You could definitely include flats here. I don't necessarily mind it, because we also want to incentivize the big blind to play. I'll go for a call here. It's kind of cheeky, but I kind of think it is a thing. And multi-way here, you can just play a lead with the fish behind. So here, when he flats, you want to be polarized to overbet or check. I think in general, because we're attacking a lot of his pairs, I'm going to go for the overbet here. I mean, we block it from having Jack 10. If he has 2 pair, we probably have good equity rate. I think we just get it in. This might be a punt, but... Okay, we're really ahead of him. Twice, of course. Oh, that stings, man. Oh my god. Oh, well, that one was unfortunate. I feel like I've not been running good on my YouTube videos recently. I don't think this hand really gets too much in the 3-vote range. I think you start actually more with the Queen X now. I think versus the earlier positions, you basically take the Queen X and you start using the suited King X. But here, we're just going to flat the suited King X. I think it's slightly too strong. And here, am I grimming this guy? Small blind. Imagine it's okay for me to leave. But on this number, this will 3-bet. It is versus recreational, so you could advocate for flatting, especially when he goes to 2.8. I don't know what his default opening size is, but that does seem like on the bigger end. So usually when a recreational size is very big, he has slightly too many. I'm gonna defend 6-5 here. It is close, but on the high number. Definitely gonna be calling this. Gonna c-bet half. I could get behind checking, but I'm gonna go for the half-pot c-bet here. I think my hand doesn't necessarily mind seeing a free turn card. And I feel like if I don't like check calling it, so I'd rather bet it myself versus recreational. When he goes really small here, it's either raise or fold for me. We'll go for the fold this time. Okay, I'm just gonna leave. Next big blind now. I will try and join another table for you guys. Looks like there's one here. I set my HUD to 4 tables, so. What's going on? I'll check this back. I don't mind it. Without a diamond. I'll go for the 1/3 sizing. I'm kind of just clicking buttons in this heads up. Just trying to get it out of the way, to be honest. But let me know what you guys would like to see. I know somebody... Oh my god, what's... I'll just leave next hand so I don't... I think Jack 3 is just a call, mainly. I'll leave next hand, whatever. I don't care. I'll be a good sport for every time I grim someone. I have trouble following the logic. Usually I'm coming out of the blinds because everyone else leaves the table, so I imagine I'm not really grimming anyone, but... I'll go for the block bet here. I think not beat too often. On a 14, we're gonna fold this. Perfect. We are out. Feels like nothing too interesting has happened besides me losing my like 20,000th all-in on video, which I guess is good. I can show you guys that I'm on a downswing a bit. I mean, I won money yesterday. I wasn't recording. But at some point, I know you guys want to see graphs, and as you can see, I'm on another computer than I usually play on. I don't really use Poker Tracker on this computer. I can show my GG graphs, but I think my plan is that either this month or the next to improve my Poker Tracker, upload all my hands into there, and have something I can show you guys maybe every month. I really don't care about showing you guys losses and stuff. I just think it's such an obvious part of poker, and I don't feel like it's a certain duty to do it, as I'm not selling a course. If I'm selling a course or something ridiculous, not that that's ridiculous, but I don't think I'd be a good coach at the moment. But on 100, this just gets in here. I think you size down to 12 though. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, then I feel like you have a little bit of a duty to post results, in the sense of you're telling people to buy something. I mean, people do it, and it seems like a decent portion of people don't seem to care. But me, I guess I would care a little bit. I don't know what I'm yapping about at this point. Here you want to check a lot. I guess we'll check. We'll check again. If you had a weaker ace of clubs, you could consider betting. But in general, here our hand still has a lot of showdown, and we get flushes in our checking range. And our hand doesn't accomplish too much from betting. And then here on the river, I just expect this spot to be overfolded in case he finds. I'll check. I don't know. I mean, our hand's pretty good, right? I guess we chop with any ace, though. Yeah, maybe I should have bet. I chop with any ace, right? Yeah. So, here in general, you're going to be checking really, really high frequency because he's going to have all the sets and you don't have as many. So we'll check. Even though our hand, in theory, probably doesn't mind betting versus a fish. And here I'll go for the big bet. Not blocking king, queen, or queen 10 suited kind of stinks. So I'd say hearts is probably the worst combo. I don't necessarily mind folding on a hand like ace king or ace queen potentially though. I think this is actually probably a bad bet in theory though. I think in practice though, when the fish checks back, he's going to be weaker, but looks like it didn't seem to matter. If he had ace queen or something, we're kind of griefing. Oh, he just has 5 deuce suited. Okay, so here I should be c-betting flop at a ridiculously high frequency then. If he's going to be defending every bullshit like this. He obviously hits the board, but yeah. It's definitely unfortunate. The light blue tag is fish. It is recreational. This guy, I don't really know anything. The green tag is like pretty solid reg. Usually the games here will run around 1 fish, so if you see a fish leave, usually very few people. I'm obviously recording and I'm down to play, but most people will leave. So yeah. With the fish behind, I'll just play this hand. Here just gonna be 130 a lot. I don't necessarily mind checking, but yeah. Oh, versus the snap pot, I kind of want to fold. Fish generally just underbluff for pot. We saw this guy do something crazy earlier though, so I think I'm gonna call one more and evaluate. And likely fold river. He has an overbetter check, and I think this hand just performs great as an overbet. Good thing we called over here. Okay, ace not being a club and having diamonds, I think we're tempted to slow down. Bottom pairs do not mind bluffing on the clubs though. We do have a lot of other hands I can bluff here. Obviously, like having any club at all. I think we're gonna check this one back at a high frequency. On the river here, my opponent obviously has a lot of ace-x. I think we're just gonna fold versus the bet. You're raising sometimes, calling sometimes. I don't mind raising aggressively on this board as people tend to over-range bet into it, so we're gonna go for a lot of raises. You could probably size a little down, but I mean a little bit bigger than this, but From what I just said, I want to be raising pretty aggressively. Gonna definitely be calling this guy. I don't really block too many turn bluffs now with the 9. I think we just have to call this hand. I mean, it's obviously tempting to shove to deny equity from bluffs, but I think we just call. He has some king jack, he has some jacks, but it feels like now this has got to be the best one to fold, right? If we're folding any of them. It's just so exhausting. So ace queen gets there, we obviously have that. We block one combo of king jack. We block obviously like a pawn like queen 9 suited though. I mean the 9 isn't in any bluffs. I tempted to call this guy because this line is so weird. On an 88 here, we will be 4-bet bluffing this hand. I think we just have to fold this hand. I think king queen's a better call. Ace king's a better call. These guys, some of them just don't have enough bluffs from the big blind. I kind of know that, but I'm trying to play well in video. We are getting a really good price, but I do think we just have better hands here. We might raise turn though with some of those ace king queen queen hands, so we might be left with a hand like this. Unless this guy's bluffing flush draws, I just struggle to see how he has enough bluffs. I think he gives up diamonds by the river. This guy might not. He kind of has to not have them, but we go for the fold here. So far we're getting kind of cooked. I think this spot you want to check pretty aggressively. Well, I guess we'll go with the check then. And we'll go with the all-in. Hopefully he doesn't have a set. Here I'll go for the small bet. My opponent's checking high frequency, and we want to bet at a good frequency. So I don't mind going with the small. I think you could go a bit polar, but probably split between the two. I feel like you want to be able to bet those middling hands. 3x even deuce X for protection here. Our opponent must really have nothing here, like king queen or something. Good thing he folded though, because I think on that run out almost everything could have got there. Let's see how long I've been recording for. 17 minutes. Try and record a bit longer. We'll look at maybe this king 9 spot. Probably film multiple videos with the 4 tables. The issue with 4 tables, I will say, is I don't think enough's happening. And I think I also get less hands to review. There's a lot of things. I think people overestimate how interesting. I mean, I guess you guys could say I should just record until I have an interesting session playing 4 tables. But let me know what you guys think, because I know not everyone wants to voice their opinion in the comments. I just saw on one of my more recent videos a lot of people prefers if I played 4 tables, but I don't know if that's just the minority of people being louder. Not that there's anything wrong with people voicing your opinions. I really appreciate you guys doing stuff like that, but obviously. Alright, we're gonna go with the 1/3 here. Pretty high frequency. The issue with this spot is no one really folds a pocket pair because you have the bad beat jackpot. But not that he really has jacks and 10s high frequency. This is gonna be a fold even versus 2x. I don't mind defending this, especially versus a fish open. Huh. I guess we can just check this one and go for a check raise. I'll go for the overbet here. I don't really like it that much, because I don't expect anyone to have 1 king. Yeah, I guess the range we're targeting. Now we can get called by better 2 pair since we have bottom 2 pair. He's tanking here. Don't think he would ever play a raising range in this spot. Makes 0 sense. Alright, now we're just going to check and evaluate. We block his technical bluffs because I really don't expect him to have too many bluffs here that aren't flush draws, right? Like I think king jack of hearts and Queen Jack of Hearts are probably his best bluffs. Like some of them. I don't know if they're his best, maybe like 5-4 hearts, but yeah. We'll go for the check here, maybe his hand like 9s. There's the shove here, we're just getting out of the way. I mean, a lot of ace-x doesn't mind checking river here because you can actually induce bluffs. Especially if your opponent starts over bluffing, it's like you would make a lot more money checking than bluffing. Just don't think people have any bluffs here. I mean, he's gonna Hollywood and act like he might, but in reality, I mean, he definitely has the flush draws if he just takes them pure, but some people might even check back at him. I don't know if I'm playing the turn perfect here, but yeah. Here generally you're going to be checking a range when your opponent can have 3 sets or more, so we'll check. Or 2 sets or more. I mean, I think you should actually probably include a betting range here multi-way, but I don't mind just overly checking. Go for the call here. It's hard for a opponent to have bluff, unless he's flatting hands now, like Jack 10 suited, which I just don't really believe him. 5-6 suited, it's tough, it's believable. But gonna have to call one more time here and then just fold the river. Do a lot of things here, mainly big bet though. Or an 89 will just get this hand in the big range. I think we're good here. Oh, he is flattering Jack 10 suited. It's hilarious. Interesting flop bet by him though, I will say. I don't really get the point of betting my hand. And here we can do both. I don't mind just slowing down here. I'm going for the check call on the river. I just don't think he snap checks a flush. That's my read. So no matter what he does here, I don't really buy it. I do think people underbluff this spot, but because they'd rather just take an ace, and I have it, so maybe having another card's better. But being a diamond. I fold these show. I'm assuming he has like a worse ace. He'll find out. Don't worry, he'll find out. I'm pretty sure he watches the videos. I usually, by the way, if you ever get asked that question, just say yes. It's my little tip. I probably shouldn't say that, but I usually only bother with recreational. Some people, I will say in a live environment, literally only care about that. So if you say yes, they might actually fold. But if you say yes, I don't like overbetting here, actually. We'll just go with the B75. With the pocket queens. I'm recording for 23 minutes. Probably record 15 more. And then we could do a studying portion. Might do a part 2 of this video. Maybe the other one will come up 3 days late. It's a pretty good video, so I do want to upload it. It might be a little outdated, but probably switch up my content. Sometimes 4 tables, sometimes more. Let me know if there's certain things, because there's a lot of downtime in these videos you guys would like me to talk about. I was thinking I could maybe talk about something, and then talk about a hand, and then talk about something. Yeah. I'm just gonna go with the 1/3 versus recreational, which is pretty good. It's usually pretty overfolded. On this hand, you can do either. I don't mind just checking though and evaluating. And on this river, I think I'll go for the bluff. I think he has some ace highs and stuff. Yeah. Generally like the overbets more with the recreational. I don't really have data to back up that one. Just seems like it's overfolded. I think generally a good rule of thumb in a game like poker though is how your opponents play is usually a good tell of how they think about the game themselves. So for example, if this guy never bluffs when he bets bigger than the pot, I think he's more likely, it's like a little bit of a doppelganger syndrome to overfold to that. So it's like, for example, me, I'll find myself stationing notes because I would have certain notes I overbluff. I'll find myself coming up with calls in those spots Then I realized not many people bluff those spots that I will actually have bluffs in. And I'm just lighting my money. I think there's like a certain fear in poker. I'd say that one of the biggest tips in poker is don't have a fear of being outplayed. The way the game works from an overall strategy perspective, you're going to look like the wrong one a lot of the times, depending on the run out. For example, there's so many spots where you have to call and you're only supposed to be good. You only need to be good 25% of the time. Well, you're going to look like you get outplayed 75% of the time. There's some spots where you bluff, and it has to work half the time. So half the time it's going to be like, oh, I'm so sick, I bluff caught you. It's like, you could still be overfolding the spot, he just came up with one bluff catcher. And the reason he called you in that spot is because you bluffed that spot 1,000 times and probably printed versus him when he finally stood his ground. Anyway, with the diamond less appealing, 66 though. I mean, we have 4-7 suited, he has 0% of it. I think this hand's just trash though. It's gonna need a higher number. Almost everything could technically lead for 0 EV. The snap half pot after that though is just, I don't like the half pot here. I mean, maybe it's okay, but it's probably okay. I mean, he wants to build a checking range, right? As long as he has one, it's probably better than, for example, some people playing range about that board or something ridiculous. Gonna just be calling, especially on an 8. The opponent should not be range betting this board. He finds the check. And the question is for us, we kind of turn an open under. On an 11 though, I think we check again. You can't see this hand pure betting. Without, especially on a double flush draw when we have spades. It's a good hand to bet, and then you have bluffs on the river. I just can't see this hand now not bluffing. We'll go for just a normal size here. We can bet even. We can bet a jack. We check a good amount of jacks. River 7. I just think we just could call by ace 10 or something dumb. Yeah, that's the issue with these spots. They're just kind of overstation. I mean, I'm sure he's calling his hand at a frequency, but if he thinks I'm quote unquote over bluffing the spot, then I have no reason to ever bluff him. So it's one of those spots. I'm really particular about the hands I'm gonna choose on the turn, and the hands I'm gonna choose on the river. I do think that hand has to be a bluff though. Even on a 30, I think this hand will heads up. I'm going to leave next blind here. And try and get on another table for you guys. Check here. Size up here. Gonna go for the overbet here. Opponent's not supposed to have ace 10, ace 9 pretty often. But I think this guy will have it a little too often, as those hands are mostly through betting. Yeah. So far I'm in like 3 tables, but the video is ending in a sec here. Should be some stuff to look at. Maybe I'll go look at that queen 9 suited hand, for example. I feel like nothing too interesting has happened in this video. Kind of the issue with playing less tables, but I figured I'll post this one maybe to let you guys know. If you guys would like, maybe I post less tables and wait for a more interesting session. That probably makes a lot of sense, but pretty particular with the times I record, because most of the time I am not constantly talking like this when I play. And I'm also, I suffer a bit of EV when I record, as I don't want to use too many exploits I might have on certain players in the pool, because I don't really want to give away that edge. If that makes sense. When they check twice, I'm going to bet though. It's the advantage of filming videos a little bit versus recreationals, is I can kind of be a little more free. I'm not too scared of them watching the videos and figuring out how I'm playing versus them. Whereas compared to a reg, a lot of the exploiting comes down to actually knowing exactly what they are doing. This guy under defends versus this guy over defends versus this, etc. There, I think here maybe I could size up more. I would split 2 sizings there on that card on the 7. The issue is he does have a limit of 7x that plays that way, so he's not super capped. Because checking twice for a 7 is not like unfeasible. Did expect him to have a lot of ace-x though as played, to be honest, because most people, when they have hit a hand on the board, they're more likely to be betting. That being said, I need more value there than bluffs, and if I just take every air for a 75% sizing, it's easily for me to be over bluffing. So I don't mind the idea of sizing up. It's kind of the idea, if you think your opponent's super capped and he never has any snaps versus you, you can quickly just start going really big, which solves your problem of under bluffing. I mean, having too many bluffs. Because if he never has any auto calls, I can start going with Jack X for that huge sizing. I can start taking even 8X for a huge sizing, like 125, 150. He has ace queen off pure here, or like close to it. I don't mind the check back. I don't know. It's probably not a thing, but I thought of snap folds here. Oh, so the fish doubled up. That's pretty good. I'm recording 30 minutes. Maybe I'll get one more interesting hand before we go. Trying to keep the quality decent of these videos, but sometimes not that many interesting things will happen, and sometimes the most interesting or the big pots in poker are not necessarily the most important. Here, when this guy overcalls, you're going to be 3-betting for a lot more often. All these emergier hands, you turn into just pure 3-bets because they become less profitable calls. So you're going to be actually 3-betting more often and less polar, so you actually can go for a smaller size here. As opposed to going to 13 versus 2.5, I'll size down to 11. And yeah. Going to be checking very high frequency here. Question is, does this hand want to? I think like the clubs is not the best suit. Obviously spades is the worst, but clubs is probably the second worst. Well, we're going to need to build a bit of a checking range here, right? We have a lot of these ace-high hands that completely whiff this board. 7s and 9s, we do have a good amount. 9s, I think you have pure in this spot. I could be wrong, but yeah, going to be playing checks. It's hard to get 3 streets of value with a hand like aces, so definitely need a hand that checks. I'm going to go for the call here. I think a hand like aces will like doing this as well. A hand like ace-king will just prefer to fold. We're blocking queen 9 suited and king 9 suited, hands he could have as played, especially when we size down. I don't think we play any leads though, because we just don't have enough 9x, and he could be putting 9x in the size. Leave it small again. The issue is we're losing to 7s and 9s. I don't think he's like less likely to reopen. I think on a 13 we're just gonna go away with this hand. I think you want at least a 10, a hand like ace 10, king 10, queen 10, something like this. I think this hand has got to be in the bin here. And this hand's a very low frequency 3-bet. When it does, it's gonna be calling blind versus blind. And he should be checking range into me here. If I face a half pot sizing, I'm gonna just have to fold my hand, though it is incorrect. This is just incorrect as well, but I think mainly we're gonna be calling versus size. We could do both. Oh, 44. You could raise. The thing is about raising here is actually like 8, 6s, and 5s don't mind just calling, because the runner is always gonna be pretty good for you. So we're gonna call here. Obviously we're in a great spot. I'm gonna go for the 1/3 size here and probably stack off. Obviously, you could be check shoving on us. Here I expect to get called pretty often, but there's not much you can do. We have a good amount of bluffs. We do have to be careful with over bluffing the swap, but I think queen high has just got to be I expect to get called pretty often by this opponent. I think he thinks when I size... Yeah, I figured. Like, that, here's the thing. I just figured that he's just not going to believe me in the spot. What he typed is what I thought. I mean, my hand I'm almost positive will be a bet bluff here, but a lot of times when you have an exploit on your opponent that he is going to be overcalling you, you problem check turn with your nuts. It's just not true. Why would I ever check turn in that spot? So this is what's going to happen sometimes in poker. Your opponents are going to make wrong assumptions about your game, and they're going to be rewarded for it. But in the long run, actually just understanding a spot will be better. I mean, why would you check turn in a spot where your opponent has 0-7x and it's really hard for them? He's probably going to be under check jamming on me because he's probably not going to be going thin. I don't see the appeal of checking a 7 ever, especially versus an opponent like this that I took so long to jam this in because I was really thinking about he's going to be overcalling me. Also, his hand is just not a 3-bet pre, so in this way, this guy is kind of a little bit more of a recreational when it comes to pre-flop. In a spot where you're going to be getting shoved on very aggressively, taking a hand like 5-4 suited and turning into a 3-bet is pretty dumb. I'm going to 4-bet, sorry. I don't even have this hand very often. I think I should have had it less than I rolled, so maybe I got what's coming to me. But yeah. I just felt like at his turn calling range, he has no folds on the river anywhere, because he's just going to call everything that he called turn with. He went with some read that's incorrect, but it worked out. I don't see why you would ever check turn there with a 7, like, or a set. Here you can call. I guess having the over to the ace. I guess I prefer raising than calling. I don't mind either though. Having the over plus the backdoor flush draw is pretty solid. In the sense that if he has hand making, we have one of the few hands that actually have outs versus. I'm just check this back. I'm recording 36 minutes. Alright. When he checks twice here, I'm just going to attack him twice. I don't expect him to have too strong of a hand. Man, that's actually so frustrating, but whatever. I don't think 5-4 is actually the worst call, to be fair. But, like, I mean, I can't really run the hand because he's never supposed to have it. I mean, I can run it from my point of view. Here he made the mistake of just betting flop at all, which is which is just a mistake in general. I mean, he's betting for a really small smize, so it can't be, like, that bad. Betting flop in general is just a mistake. 4 betting his hand's a mistake. And by the river, I mean, blocking a hand like pocket. I mean, I never have pocket 5, so it's probably one of the worst blockers. I mean, it's an unblocker because I probably don't have too many bluffs with the 5. I'll check this one back here with the weaker. Terrible river. It's been a frustrating session for sure. I mean, it kind of sucks because a lot of these spots I just expect to get called. Overcalled, because I kind of know the spots that the regs just overcall because they think, I don't know, they have certain reads. It's so easy to overbluff the spots. Generally, if your opponent thinks it's really easy to overbluff, just never bluff that spot. That's my advice. So this guy just has trips and decided to bet 2 cents on the river. I don't understand the logic in the sense that my ace-x actually doesn't need to raise that often now on the river because I'm chopping versus everything. So you should just be overbetting and trying to make an ace-x indifferent, repping a 9 that didn't raise flop, which is actually going to be at a really low frequency. Sorry if I said that too fast. I just don't. I actually just really hate blocking 9-8 there. I think it's really stupid. But it could be wrong. Maybe I'm a bit tilted, so maybe I'm a bit fiery right now. You guys are gonna have to bear with me. How long have I been recording? 37 minutes. So I'm gonna be wrapping up the video shortly. But it saved me money. I mean, maybe if you went really big, I would have folded it. It's just, if you think about the spot, okay, most of your 9x is supposed to be raising flop, so now you don't have too much. Then on the turn, like, what hand wants to block? If you hit an ace, wouldn't you rather check? I don't know. I mean, it's probably an okay thing in theory, but yeah. I think this hand 4 bets at a frequency. I'll go with the call this time, though. We missed the board. Unfortunate. Opponent has to be careful. You can't over-range bet, but I think this hand's still going to be a toss. We actually block the hands that we'd want to make a little indifferent by raising here. I mean, I'm sure at a really high number you can start taking these backdoor hard hands just to have enough of them, but yeah. Definitely don't like the idea of calling compared to raising. I'd rather raise because I can fold out a hand like king 10 of diamonds when I raise. So, I have those advantages. Alright, gonna be wrapping up the video. Thank you everyone for watching, and stay tuned for when we go over the reviews and the hands before. Let's see if I've just been babbling and my opponents have the correct reads, or what I think about these spots. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. And I see your opponent actually does play a good amount of a raising range on this board, because as you can see, the big one in the spot isn't really going to have these pocket pairs that often, because they're actually just flatting pre-flop. They're not really 3-betting, so it's kind of different to a spot like small blind versus... or maybe like button versus cutoff or something. I don't know how to explain it. Can't think of a note off the top of my head. But anyway. In this spot, you actually are raising a good amount when people do stab into you. And I'm sure I probably should have found the raise a little bit more, but... it's also all right here to just pretty much pure play a flatting range. There's not some significant hand that gains a lot from raising here. Outside of maybe jamming the 9-8. Makes a lot of sense here. As it has like that added equity, it needs a little bit of protection. for different runouts, and it has like a lot of raw equity to it, so it doesn't mind fast playing. On the turn here, your opponent's supposed to just pure jam these spots. Not pure jam, what am I talking about? Jamming these pairs, even though you run into a 7 a lot. I think it's just due to the amount of hands I have that have to call in this spot, in the big blind. Like, a lot of these hands, like 10-9, jacks and 10s. I think it just gets value from these hands that have a pair plus draw. I guess jacks doesn't, but anyway. I'm curious what you would be bluffing here for an all-in size, actually. So you're even fast playing your queen 9. I guess you're shoving some of your ace jack and ace 10 offsuit. I don't think a lot of people are finding that. Anyway, so I think in reality, I think I'm gonna lower my opponent's betting range a bit here. I think a lot of times people like to just range check this spot. I'm gonna take out a jam. I'm gonna take out this. I'm just gonna go for the pure checks because I think people like to check this spot. Basically, the way the node played out is I still B20 probably like 30% of the time with queen 10 there in pure shove river, and he pure calls 5-4. But we'll explore a little bit more what happens when you're playing a strategy that I think most people will find here in the spot. And you can see actually my hand is pretty much pure checking. I think it's the risk of when you bet with a hand like this, how often you're getting shoved on. Which in reality, I just don't think is happening that often. If you actually look at the spot like this, like I wonder, this is a little unrealistic. I'm going down node Lockville. But if you just to highlight a spot, what you would see, but if your opponent isn't jamming on you, is way more often. So here we took out the jamming range. We're c-betting 40% of the time, and if we put it back in, I don't know, like, yeah. So we add it. Our c-bet range goes down by 15%. I don't expect to get jammed on here, so I prefer to stab a little bit wider. And yeah, obviously you blow up my equity with my hand because I have a gut shot, and having to fold this hand to a jam would be a bit of a disaster. I don't have it here, but I'm sure it would be a fold. You're not priced in. And you have 2 overs and stuff as well. But anyway, he goes with the call here. I gave him 5-4 suited even though you never have it here. It's losing like a tenth of a big blind pre-flop, which isn't that big a deal, but for a pre-flop error, it's kind of annoying. In the sense of, if you're making, you're quickly losing a lot of money if you're making a lot of these pre-flop errors, especially if you start getting exploited for them. Then it can get even worse, because you're losing that versus a computer, losing that versus like someone exploiting you, then you lose a lot more money. So here, I guess we never have the hand though, as played. This is taking a while, but I hope you guys don't mind, as I'm trying to go over some stuff for you guys. I want to see if there's any give ups on the river is what I'm trying to see. I guess queen 10 does give up. It's funny when you get the other line, jack 10 hates betting, but I guess this way, jack 10 likes it. It's a break-even shove. It's funny, depending on the blockers, it's like it makes 4 big blinds to shove this. It makes 15 big blinds to bluff this one. I mean, it's the issue when you get down in the solver world where like opponents' ranges are really narrowed. I think it's just due to the types of hands he calls here. Like, so yeah, he's only calling. He's mixed folding king queen of diamonds, but he's calling the other 2. He's calling king queen off, and he's probably folding it when he has the queen of diamonds, which is why you don't like technically bluffing it and stuff. I don't know. It's kind of a weird rabbit hole. I would say in general, it's going to be hard to digest all this. I don't mind over bluffing this spot. I think it's overfolded. That's the main way I can say it. No matter what. Oh, I guess in this line, 5-4 is a fold. Anyway, kind of went down this rabbit hole, but thanks everyone so much for watching, and yeah, on to the next hand. Starting off with the board where I had queen 9. Spades in this hand. Obviously checking range here, not playing any leads. Onto the turn here, you can see your opponent wants to play b75 or b50 in the spot. I recommend just like probably sticking to half pot. I mean, you could play the b75, but in general, most of the time you're going to be betting for half pot here. The most important thing though, no matter even if you play b33, I think you just need to have a checking range in the spot, just due to the types of hands that really just don't benefit too much from betting. I mean, you could look at the EV from it, but I think you're just putting yourself at a disadvantage by not playing a checking range in the spot. Yeah. Obviously, the lower pair you go to the over wants to bet more often, and the higher you go wants to bet less. So you're betting kings and aces more. 10s, and then same thing when you go down. So 10s and 9s under the jack, you're going to be checking 10s more than you are 9s, and 8s. Actually, in this spot, it's a little different with 8s. Actually, just wants to bet a little less. But it's mainly just to do to, I guess, blocker properties that I'm not going to get into. In general, though, yeah. It's a good way to go about it. Anyway, when it goes check here, in the spot, as you can see on this turn, this is what I said. I'm going to be playing a lot of 125 and a lot of blocks here. I recommend just being pretty aggressive in the spot, as people usually do check back weaker. I think the block strategy actually is just really, really tough to play against if you play it well. So I don't recommend you guys, I mean, I do recommend you guys, honestly, with some of your middling value, just over blocking, as I just think it's a tough time defending. Anyway, with the queen nine of spades here, as you can see, without the actual, on a double flush draw board, when you have neither, we didn't roll a high enough number to actually turn this into an overbet. This is going to be one of our primary river bluffs here, blocking 10-9 and not blocking the flush draws when we overbet and the board bricks out. So we can't take it pure. So for that reason, we obviously check when you roll a no number. Then when we get to the river here, as you can see, we're playing a lot. A queen nine now becomes a pure bluff, as most of our other bluffing hands that don't have any showdown, we're usually betting earlier. As you can see, like our worst hands, filters wise, trash hands. I mean, there's not many trash hands outside of like maybe the 4-3 and the 4 deuce. That isn't trying to bet here. So, also not to mention that the 9 actually blocks a good amount of your opponent's calling range, and pocket 9s, pocket 10s, obviously pure calling. Hands like 9-8 and 10-8 are going to be some of your check back easy calls. So yeah, the queen 9 just becomes a pure bluff. Pure call. I forget exactly what combo of ace queen my opponent had, but you can see here it's some of them are mixing calls, so it's not like the worst hand to ever call with. And if he thinks I'm over bluffing, it's probably fine. And these spots I really recommend advising, like, as you can see here, your opponent's calling range here, you can basically mix call all of these. No, he's never going to have aces this much, I just don't believe it. So you basically got to decide, for example, if he's calling a hand like ace queen pure here, then almost all my bluffs just become very, very not profitable. And you can almost just get away with just pure, just never bluffing the spot, to be honest, by the river. But anyway, I hope I explained that kind of well. I feel like I'm a little off right now, but yeah. Anyway, on to the last hand. Last hand of the video. Here you could actually, I saw something, you can play a mix between B20 and B50, and it lets you incorporate a B50 range, but you size up to B33, it prefers it as one size. I recommend just simplifying the spot, unless you're just a super nerd. Yeah. As you can see here, your opponent actually just played a good amount of a raising range. I guess on a board where you're basically range betting into them, you want to usually play raises, and he obviously has enough cards to defend this, having 3 combos of king jack suited. I guess he 4-bets some of it, and then having obviously pocket jacks pretty high frequency, and some ace king depending on how he plays. In this spot, we go for the call. With the king 9, you can see it's actually interesting enough. King 9 does actually want to fold sometimes. I guess it's just due to, like, if you look, your opponent is bluffing 10-9. Well, not 10-9 of spades or 10-9, so it's pretty irrelevant. But I guess it's just the worst king to have. And I guess it's because your opponent has king 10 in his value range. I'd say in practice, people are usually more polarized in the spot. Like, no one's raising king 10 for value. So you should probably continue the king 9 pretty often. On the turn here, I give him B20 range. In hindsight, I think, like, there's a chance he has a draw. Because, like, there's just no incentive to play B20 with anything in your range. Like, there's no incentive to play B20 with value outside of leveling. But anyway, we go with the call here. With the king 9. I don't think you can ever fold to the size when you call. You actually see here that the size in theory makes no sense, because there's not a single hand that calls a raise here that folds to the size. So you could say, oh, he's extracting a little more value from you, but it's like, why play an overall strategy that way? I mean, you can see that it's extracting more value in this line, and it's still not preferred. So it just goes to show it's not the most effective way to play your value. I mean, obviously, there's certain exploits you can have, like, oh, I know he's going to call this, he would fold to a jam, and I want to get a little more value, and yeah, I know exactly how he plays, but I don't think this guy would know that. I mean, he might, I don't know. Anyway, by the river, when the 10 comes off, I'm just going to pure fold the king 9 here, like I thought. Hands like king queen and ace king are better calls. It's really hard to judge here, because obviously, it looks like you prefer the diamond and stuff, because it's almost like his bluffs have to be, have to be these flush draw hands, right? Like, they have to be hands like ace 4 diamonds, 6-5 suited. Yeah, it's really hard to have bluffs here. Also, my opponent is someone who would show his bluff if he had a bluff in a crazy spot like this. So I would just be calling pretty tight here. I mean, think about how narrow your range is going to be by the river. So anyway, yeah, that's all I have to say at the spot. I guess what I thought was interesting is you're not playing too many reshoves here. King 9 is just a little too weak unless you have the combo draw. So yeah. Anyway, I'm downswinging a good amount in these last 2 videos, so because I couldn't post the one where I had a winning session after this one. That will come at some point because it is a decent video, so I think, and I like the studying breakdown of it. So when I can go back and actually upload the right video, right now I'm somewhere else. I'm gonna go post that one for you guys. But anyway, been downswinging pretty hard, so make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. You know, help a guy out. His downswinging. But anyway, thank you so much for watching this video to the end. And what was I gonna say? Let me know how much you guys like the mic, because this mic I think it sounds a bit better. But yeah, recording on a laptop right now for you guys. So yeah, I'm trying my hardest. Anyway, see you guys in the next one.